John, the president of the ISOC chapter of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Mr. Sheridan Osepa, I don't know if he's still with us, manager of the Latin American Caribbean Internet Society. Mr. Albert Daniels, my good friend, I'm going to come and get the goodies from you. Internet stakeholders, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the President and members of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, I extend my sincere appreciation to the organizers of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Internet Governance Forum for their gracious invitation to address you on the occasion of the launch, the inaugural national IGF for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It was in 2013 that the Caribbean Telecommunications Union presented a new approach for advancing Caribbean internet governance. And the approach included the establishment of national internet governance fora in each country. And we envisioned that the national IGF would support the work of the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum. So it is therefore with a deep sense of satisfaction that I congratulate the individuals and organizations who have worked together to realize the goal of the establishment of a national IGF in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I think that the theme for this inaugural IGF, building partnerships for good internet governance, is most appropriate, as the core of internet governance is multi-stakeholder engagement and strategic partnerships. You may or may not be aware that following the World Summit on the Information Society in 2005, the CTU established the first Internet Governance Forum in the world. Now, a forum, by definition, is a meeting or medium for which for exchange of views. In the case of the Caribbean IGF, we made a conscious decision not just to talk freely and debate with stakeholders on an equal footing, but to develop plans that would advance the Caribbean internet governance agenda. And not just develop plans, but to execute them. We also recognized when we established the first Caribbean Internet Governance Forum that there were things pertaining to the internet, its resources, its development, over which we would have no control. And we made a very conscious decision to focus on the things over which we had control and to really concentrate on the activities that needed to be executed in order to have an impact on the region. You know, we have in Trinidad, we all talk, you know, it's just talking and talking and talking. And Sheridan rightly said so, discussion and talk and deliberations without action is really a waste of time. So I am encouraging you, I'm encouraging this national IGF not only to talk and to discuss the issues to be addressed, but to define the next steps and make the plans for the work that will impact the national community of internet users and execute those plans. There are many one plans collecting dust in offices, in drawers. If you don't execute those plans, you've really wasted your time. And you have to think in terms of executing those plans expeditiously, because the longer you sit on a plan, its currency diminishes and its value and its the objectives and the outcomes that you're seeking to obtain, those diminish in the internet environment. Now, at the 13th Caribbean Internet Governance Forum, which was held last year in the British Virgin Islands in August 2018, we expressed the views that national IGFs should be supported by some sort of task force, some sort of implementing body, which would be responsible for implementing the plans and the deliberations that arise during your IGF. And not just that, that would also ensure that you are making measurable progress in each country in between the staging of your IGF. So you have your IGF, you discuss, you deliberate, you make some plans, and you execute them. In 2009, and I want to tell you, just from our experience with the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum, the Caribbean Telecommunications Union Secretariat will serve as the implementing agency for the Caribbean IGF. In 2009, the CTU Secretariat collated the deliberations of the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum and issued the first Internet governance policy framework in the world. Right? So coming out of the deliberations, we came up with a policy framework which the CTU implements. And the CTU has been implementing this policy framework, and it's not a static document. It's now in its third edition since 2009. And in keeping with the strategic areas identified therein, the CTU Secretariat has staged numerous capacity building and educational workshops. We have facilitated the establishment of at least 12 internet exchange points. And we are currently actively promoting many internet-related programs, including an internet-based support system for people with disabilities. As in other countries, there's much internet governance work to be done in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it must not be left to chance. Your IGF discussions must translate into action and meaningful progress. Just as Mr. Daniel stated, you start with building awareness. The whole notion of internet governance is a broad spectrum of many things. So you need to raise awareness. And I want to say that the gathering here may be small, but do not despise small beginnings, right? If you're here, it means that you are committed, you have a certain interest, you have a stake in this. And it is like people like you, when you start doing that outreach and capacity building, you will gain the traction. And one thing I need to say is you have to be very careful with the language that you use when you do your public awareness. You want to talk about the internet in terms that are relevant to your audience. So what you say to a minister of government might be a little different from what you say to a school child, will be different from what you'd say to a parent or businessman or banker. And it's diverse, and a diverse audience that you would need to address. So there's a lot of work to be done, right? So start with your public awareness, move into education, and it's not educating for the sake of educating. It is educating with a view to implementing and executing your plans, right? So some of the work that needs to be addressed is the issue of the adoption of IPv6 nationwide. We are encouraging our member countries to adopt IPv6 in government, in the private sector, and in civil society. The evolution of the Internet of Things demands that our countries adopt IPv6. This is something the SVG Internet governance can focus on and can do to promote the Internet and build an Internet economy. Then the issues of privacy and security of the citizen and his digital assets. This must also be of concern to the new IGF, this new national IGF. Public awareness and education on these issues will be very useful. advancing these issues. In addition, I really believe that the St. Vincent and the Grenadines IGF can support the adoption of DNSSEC, right? These are things that have to be done in this environment and across the region. But I do have a word of caution, and I hope that what I'm going to say now will sort of be kept at the back of your deliberations. And what I want to say is that the world has become a very different place because of the rise and expansion of the internet. It has led to the democratization of knowledge, in that the information of the ages is available to you literally at your fingertips. And this is power, which, if harnessed and used effectively, can be a tremendous boon to our peoples and societies. The flip side of this, however, is that things which were hitherto shielded from our view are now being broadcast into our offices, into our homes, into our schools. New cultures, destructive practices, fringe ideologies that can be inimical to our Caribbean cultures. We are being bombarded, our collective consciousness is being bombarded. Worldviews are assaulting the traditional moorings of our culture and are demanding that we adopt new modes of living. People are becoming addicted to life in cyberspace, right? This is the flip side. The internet is wonderful. I think it is an amazing thing. And there are pros, and there are good things about it, but there are also very negative things about it. So as we embrace the power of the internet, we have to be mindful of the potential societal impact. As I mentioned before, provisions must be made to protect our citizens' persons, their intellectual and digital and physical possessions, their privacy. Due care must be exercised and systems implemented to ensure that in this era of interconnectivity, we do not become disconnected and isolated from our fellow men. We have to be careful that in this age of communication, we lose our ability to communicate face to face with our children, with relatives, with colleagues. We have to be careful that in this new global world order, we don't lose our cultural identity, our individuality, and our humanity, or even worse, that in this technological age, we lose our souls. This is the era of alternative facts, fake news, the weaponization of climate, of the weaponization of social media. And I would like you to think of the role of the national IGF in preserving the soul of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and ensuring that the internet serves its citizens instead of our citizens becoming victims of the internet. The internet is the most pervasive manifestation of the revolution in information and communication technologies. Its governance, therefore, must be of concern to all citizens. The establishment of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines IGF, therefore, is a testimony of the determination of a diverse community of stakeholders to influence its development for the benefits of the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I would like to commend my good friend, Mrs. Roxanne John. She's one of the driving forces for this endeavor, and her team. She has had a vision and a determination that really, really inspires me. And I really would like to commend Roxanne and her team. We heard Rudy Daniel. I know he's working there in the background, and we really appreciate the work of individuals like that. And, I said before, don't despise small beginnings. You have people here who can change the world. Remember, the rudder of a ship is a very small thing, but it turns those superliners and those cruise liners in ways that, you know, we couldn't imagine a little thing like a rudder can do. And I would also like to recognize the Internet Society, the Internet Governance Forum Support Association, and the Internet Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers for their assistance and support for this very important work. In closing, on behalf of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, I extend my best wishes to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, this Internet Governance Forum, for good success and progress in ensuring that every citizen can safely derive tangible benefits from the Internet and its resources. Finally, I would like to place on record the CTU's full support for this fledgling IGF and our commitment to future development of the Internet in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the wider Caribbean. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lewis, for those inspiring